So I wanted to pretty much talk about war mode. You know, the devs, we've been told working on something big. Yeah, that's what everyone says. That's what everyone, all the Deepwoken YouTubers say that something big is happening. I'm a Deepwoken YouTuber. But do you want to know what I've heard? It's the crickets. It's the very loud silence. It's absolutely nothing. That's what I've heard. I've heard absolutely nothing. But in any case, right? I think that a rework to their most forgotten mode, their most forgotten, most unused mode, two of their most like underused modes, would be amazing for the game. And what I'm talking about is their two newest modes, world events and war. When was the last time? I give you this question. When was the last time you did a world event? And then I bring up this second question. When was the last time you did war? Because if your answer was when it came out, you'd be along with 85 to 95% of the player base. I played one war. I won one war. I haven't participated since. I haven't ever fought a world event boss. I have all of the equipment and stuff. I haven't fought a single one of the Caranthal's Wake. I've done the Carnival of Hearts. Haven't fought Interluminary Parasol. Haven't done either of those. Neither. Because I don't have to, for one. And two, I haven't fought Enmity either. Even though Enmity is a pretty good boss. I can't lie, Enmity is fine. World events, they don't care about war. That's the main point I'm trying to get across. Nobody cares about world events. Nobody cares about war, right? Nobody is really even touching those game modes at all. No, and they haven't in a while. So what I propose, right, is a rework of war, a rework of world events. And you might be saying that's really soon for a rework, but it's not really a rework as much as it is folding together the two most underutilized parts of the game, right? And what I mean by this is I say we turn war into a world event. But there needs to be some changes before it can be finalized as a world event. For one, war doesn't really have that world event feel, right? Yeah, you have a big war bell, you know, it rings, everyone starts fighting around the thing, right? We all know this, right? But to be honest, it's very lacking as a game mode. There's not, you feel a little bit like it's just a giant gank. There's so many problems with it. You can just pull up 93 people. You can just pull up like the entire yeah, we run ones, guys. Yeah, we run ones roster. Okay, my suggestions are as follows. We add game modes. We add game modes to Overworld War. And why I say Overworld is because I have an idea for depths as well, right? And you'll hear that later. You might call me crazy, but you'll hear that later. That idea later. And that's for the reason why I say depths war in a way is for the permadeath aspect, because people don't wipe. But my main point about the people don't wipe things goes to my original suggestion about war, right? My original idea for war. I think you shouldn't be able to go to depths in war. You shouldn't be able to lose loot in war. And this might sound crazy, right? And that's kind of because it is. Because that's not all it is. That's not all it is, right? I think there should be a lives system for war. And I'm not talking about like the default lives we already have with Stained, with the 2 lives you get, right? Technically you get 1 free life, and then the next life you go to the depths. So 2 lives, right? What I think war should do is I think war should give you 10 extras. And what I mean by 10 extras, right, is you can die 10 times without consequence. But instead of having this per player, because that would be extremely annoying, right? If you had 10 respawning guild things, it should be on a per guild basis. So what I mean by a per guild basis is each guild gets 10 lives. This is the placeholder is 10. I don't really want to go into depths on how to balance that exactly. I think that 10 is a fine number. But 10 lives, right? With those 10 lives, a guild will have their player base split up, right? So each player, for example, if there are 2 players in a guild, it splits the lives into 5. It splits the remaining lives among the remaining players, right? So say, and whenever a new player joins, it splits the, like, say there are 4 lives currently available, and there are 4 players in the game. Each player has 1 life, right? What I mean, 1 extra life before they just get sent depths, right? So that means they technically, they once they die, they go to the depths on their next life, right? So they get 1 extra life on that, in that scenario. Every death, right, in a war mode server, right? Every, like, true death in a war mode server will then put you into a war mode depth server. And we'll all go into more depths about that, more in depths about that, right? What I'm saying is, if with that live system, you give solo players, solo gankers, like myself, a chance, right, to fight against bigger guilds. So say those 4 people, right? I only need to kill them, what? If there are 4 players and there are 10 lives, I only really need to kill them, like, what? I only need to kill each player twice, maybe 3 times, and they have to kill me 10 times, right? Which, that's a lot. Especially over the course of a war, you have someone who keeps coming back, just harassing you, one-comboing you, you take a life here and there, and then you die, then the person dies, you know? They come back because they have lives, and then as long as they get 1 person out, that means they're in the Depths War server, and they have to be in the Depths War server. And I'll give you my suggestions for the Depths War server in a second, right? Once again, this is a little bit of a crazy suggestion, right? You can log at any time during the overworld servers. If you try and come back in after you've logged, you will keep the amount of lives you have. So you can't cheese it that way. Each player has, each guild has 10 lives. The 10 lives go down. You get sent depths. You put into a war mode server in the depths, right? Rather than just decreasing the amount of points you get. I think the points should be staying the same. It's just that system would make it so it's discouragement, right? And if you die, there is a harsher punishment if you're in a group, right? There's a much harsher punishment. And if you die when you're not in a group, it doesn't really matter. You can go for 9 lives worth of stuff and then just leave on the 10th if you're a solo player and you don't want to risk it. Or alternatively, because my solution, right, to the loot problem, right? Because people aren't going to be dropping loot. I mean, obviously they're just going to carry, like, really bad loot on them, right? And once again, you can just leave the server if you don't want to do it, right? If you don't want to do war, there should still be a few servers open that are just not war. That war situation is just, it's great. You can be a solo player, you can be in a guild, you are at a disadvantage, or not at a disadvantage, you get the advantage of another player at the cost of you both having halved the lives, right? Which, I mean, still, having, 10 players, all with a singular life, and then they go to the depths after like 1 death, it's, like, not exactly, versus 2 players with about 5 lives. I mean, that's, like, winnable. You can win that. You can just keep coming back. You can win. You can kill maybe 1 person each time, and then, you end up, whatever. Well, I think that once you get over 5 points, though, you should start getting your points reduced per kill, because that's a little ridiculous. You can't have the Evans Spear Legion winning multiple ganks. And the reason I keep bringing them up is because, every time I look at their fucking server, it's just like 19 of them, and they have like 200 officers or some bullshit. But anyway. Items don't need to drop things, but here is the loot system I have hooked up, right? I think the lower you are on lives, and the more guild score you have, the more grips you have, and the lower you are on lives, it increases the level of loot. And it increases the level of loot, right, so much that if you're on literally 1 death away from depths, right, 1 death away from depths, you get a relic pretty much every chest. And I'm talking like literally a relic every single kill, right? Every single kill, you get a relic. The chests are actually going to be good, right? They have some decent 3-star equipment. The main reason I say this is because currently the only way to get like actual loot from PvP is Voidwalker, and Voidwalker is like extremely flawed and super annoying to deal with. Nobody really likes getting Voidwalk. Nobody likes Voidwalking. this would give PvP players a way to, you know, farm PvP stuff, right? It could give good 3-star equipment. It could give good, especially, it could also give unique war mode exclusive items, like that war banner, right? There's a chance from, like, from like that max tier of rarity chest that you can drop, that you can get that one war mode banner legendary weapon that was suggested like 2 billion years ago. You can add that. Boom. Unique reward. It's been in the game forever. But now that with that out of the way, that was my... Holy shit, this video. I'm going to have to cut so much. Anyway, now that that is out of the way, I wanted to go on to the hardcore permadeath aspect of the game. Because as we all know, nobody wipes in Deepwoken. Literally nobody. And nobody likes having that happen, right? Everyone wants the game to be more difficult. People feel like it's too easy, right? People feel like, oh, we want more difficulty. We want more difficult. If we take up that poll, right? If we take up the poll in Deepwoken, I'll go pull it up right now on screen. The game is difficult to learn, and that's a good thing, right? People saying that the game is too easy. I want more challenge. People saying that, right? That was where the majority of the game votes were. The game is too easy. I want more challenge, right? You know, that is the majority of the player base. So my solution, I want to preface this. This is my solution based off of this poll. People want it more difficult. I want to make it more difficult. And I mean, obviously, I don't actually have control over the devs' actions. This is simply a suggestion. And I don't know how people are going to take to the suggestion. And, you know, I think the suggestion's good. Other people might hate the suggestion. But here it is. War mode depths servers, right? So when there's a war in the overworld and you die in a war mode server, you get sent to a war mode depth server. War mode depth servers make it so you cannot leave until the war mode is over, right? This way, it serves as two things. A punishment for dying in the war mode, right? So you're forced into the depths, right? You're forced into the depths. You're forced into a dangerous environment. Voids are disabled in war mode depth servers. You can't void. If you fall into the void, you die instantly. No layer 2. No jumping in. None of that. Which, because everyone hates voiding. Voiding is obnoxious. Voiding ruins depth ganks. The only issue is you get ganked by 6 people and then you just die, right? But I have a solution for that too. Don't worry. Also, void builds can be heavily nerfed. I think Grand Skewer disabled. Rocket Lance does the thing where it, like, just barely knocks you back in the guild base. Combo crit can be ragdoll canceled much earlier, so you can avoid falling off a cliff. You know, just stuff like that. Obviously, Paralytic Dust got gutted, so that's no longer an option either to instant kill people with the Void. That would just prevent people from abusing the Void to just get out of their punishment for dying in a war mode server. Of course, you could optionally also join the war mode servers in the depths. Of course, you would still be locked into said war mode server until the war mode finishes, right? And obviously, combat tags in the war mode servers would last like a good, 15 minutes or something. You know, just a super long combat tag, right? For the entirety of the war mode. And I'm saying PvP combat, so you can't just log and get away from it. So you're forced into that. Maybe allow it so it's when you get hit by a player, you know, it regens your tempo, so you aren't just stuck without tempo when someone starts a fight. But punishment for dying. Huge punishment for dying. Because then you're stuck in there, right? People, of course, can choose to not fight. But you see the people who ganked you in a war mode depth server, right? You get sent to depths, you're waiting to get out. Someone else from that guild that you were ganking in the overworld gets sent down to the depths, and then you have that choice. You can choose, oh, I want to go depths gank them. They can't log, they can't void. They have no choice but to fight. All right? And obviously, their teammates are still going to be preoccupied in the war mode server, so they're not going to be able to come help easily, right? And even players who want to go chase after their opponents who just died in a war mode depth server can go join look around, see if they can guess the right war mode depth server. right? I think that the people who die in the same war mode server should be sent to the same war mode depth server. And if you choose voluntarily to go to the depths in a war mode depth server, it should also put you into the same server as the one that is. It should try and match regions as well, so people know what they're getting into. Right? This is just my personal idea, right? And then I said I had a solution to people jumping, right? To people jumping other people with like 5 people, right? And that is a depths coliseum. And you know, this might sound wild. People want you want to have it be difficult. You want stuff to be difficult. You want stuff to be, you know, you want fights to be dangerous. Why not make it so there's punishment for losing the ones, right? Say your chime beef. Your chime beef is just that insane. I don't know how the fuck the top 250s are thinking and the top 50s and all those wonderful gentlemen are feeling. But a coliseum in the depths, right, where pretty much you can run into and in combat, right? I'm saying in combat you can still run into it, right? It will fully restore your HP and give anybody in the stands a chance to challenge you. You cannot leave the Coliseum until 5 minutes have elapsed, or not a whole minute has elapsed with nobody attacking you, or with nobody challenging you. You can't leave the Coliseum or leave the game until a whole minute has elapsed without anyone challenging you. If people challenge you, the only way you can leave, right, is if you kill the person. Kill the other person. The only way, or else you're just stuck in the. You're not stuck. If nobody challenges you within 1 minute, right, then you can leave. If someone challenges you within that 1 minute, you have to fight them. And if you will not be able to leave, you will not be able to do like anything. If you leave the game, you would get wiped. Right? You know, just something like that. Right? When you go in, it automatically refills your health, armor, tempo, ether, whatever, sanity, just so you can't cheese that beforehand, right? If you make it to the Coliseum, the people who are fighting you are forced to give you a 1v1, right? They aren't allowed to cheese you with Link Strider builds or other crazy BS. And also, you are guaranteed to like either wipe or wipe the other person, because you can't get out of the Coliseum until you've wiped the other person. I think that is pretty much my whole spitball idea that I came up with in like 5 minutes, right? I genuinely want a reworked war mode, and I want it to be challenging, and I also want a way to basically, you can gank risk-free, but if you choose to, like, it's a risk-reward thing, right? There's actual danger when you can't just avoid consequences. Because you want to know what people do if they die in a gank, right, in a war mode server? They just fucking leave the depths. It takes a minute. I'd like to point out, getting out of the depths is a joke. Like, obviously, it's even more of a joke for me. Like, I have a content creator private server, but even if I didn't have a content creator private server, I could still just go into a server with like 10 people in it. Or less. You just go into a server with like 5 or 6 people in it. There's nobody. There's like those servers exist, and just nobody uses them, and then you can just get out of the depths for free. You can join back into a populated server when you're at the elevator. Like you basically just ignore the entirety of the problem with the depths, which is getting depths ganked, because nobody dies to monsters. Be so real. But anyway, that's my concept. I don't know whether or not you guys are gonna agree with it. I mean, low key, it's a big like sort of thing, right? I personally think that sort of rework would unironically save Deepwoken. Well, anyway, that's enough yap from me. You know, 20 minute yap session. It's come to an end.